Welcome to another scriptural study. In fact, a scriptural, astronomical, word, and historical study here today. Before we start, we would like to thank the many Bereans all over earth for allowing us to share scriptural studies in words, names, and the law. And thank you to all of you that do the same and share those studies so that we can further learn the Word and, more importantly, apply it here in our lives. And as well, thank you to all of those who prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. So let's get started, because in this scriptural study, we are about to start part 2 of what is known as ABIB and the Sign of Yonah, or Jonah. Yes, we are going to talk about the only sign the MessiYAH YaHushua was willing to give to us, called the 3 days and 3 nights. As always, please feel free to stop this video at any time to focus on the scriptural, astronomical, word, and historical information, and in this case pertaining to the only sign given to us from the MessiYAH YaHushua on the 3 days and 3 nights. And as always, please feel free to ensure that your computer monitor, mobile phone, iPad, etc. is programmed or configured to be on full view or full screen mode. In this part 2 of the Sign of Yonah, as it relates to the month of ABIB and guarding that month year after year, it is so important to understand the relevance in regards to nailing down the proper first month of the year. We covered this in previous scriptural study videos now over the years, and last year did an in-depth study on this, why we must all guard the month of ABIB. If you haven't already seen it, this may be a good opportunity now to go view that before watching this clip. As well, please watch Guarding ABIB with the Sun, Moon, and Stars, because the equinox does not start the year. It's the sun, moon, and stars, all 3 witnesses of light working in perfect harmony to tell time. Yes, the appointed times given to us from our Father of lights, Yahuwah himself, the only self-existent one. As well, if you haven't seen part 1, the Sign of Yonah, please do so now, because in that clip, getting a day start right is so important. For many years, before I became a Berean, many years, I'm 61 years of age now, I thought a day started at midnight. I was ingrained into the pagan calendar of Rome, the Gregorian, and their days start at midnight. I learned as time went on, Babylon started their days at sunrise. I learned later on that the pagan world religion of Judaism started at sunset. I learned down the road that the prophet stated that Yahuwah would deliver us from sunrise and sunset stars. So again, a proper day start really helps get things right from a scriptural standpoint. And of course, quality means do it right the first time, because we always don't get a second chance now, do we? So this clip goes over that dawn day start, because Jonah, or Yonah, made that very clear. So the book of Yonah is massive, and the MessiYAH YaHushua's teachings aligned to what that prophet Yonah was stating. So again, please read MessiYAH chapter 16, verses 1 through 3, and the relationship of how to discern the signs of the times. Yonah was clear in chapter 4, verses 7 through 8, that there were 2 events in regards to celestial signs. So, in chapter 4, verse 7-8, Yonah states, "But as morning dawned the next day," the dawn is the start of a new day. That's celestial event 1. Celestial event 2 is when the sun comes up. So we covered that in the clip very long ago, and finally have been able to get these up and running on scriptural study videos. And if you get into Bible Hub, you'll know that the term or word morning is shakar, Strong's H7837, and all of the associated concordances that help us determine what these words meant in its proper scriptural context was dawn, as we can see here from the Brown Driver Briggs, let alone the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament, dawn, the breaking of a new day, that time prior to sunrise. So that's what shakar means, let alone the word bakar, but that's another study. Here's something that we have really started to take notice. As we go through these scriptural studies, we always share that none of us, including me or any human being on earth, should not ever add or take away from the word. That is clear. But some of us are unconsciously doing it. And, regrettably, and as horrifying as it is, some people do it consciously. But let's take a look at Hosea the prophet when he said in chapter 4, verse 6, "My people have perished for lack of knowledge." You will be very surprised to learn that lack of knowledge doesn't mean you're missing something. It means you're wasting away, you're oppressing knowledge that exists. You're either adding or taking away from that knowledge. And the second verse, or the same verse, verifies this, stating, "Because you've rejected knowledge." So we'll get into this in this study because people always reject the teachings of the MessiYAH YaHushua. Now, don't they? And he said in Matthew 23, verse 8, "But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Messiah." So I'm not a teacher, I'm not a prophet. I'm a student of the word, still learning the word, and more importantly, applying it in my life. Learning it is one thing. Learning this knowledge is one thing, but not oppressing the knowledge is a total other subject. The application of knowledge is the heart and soul of the word. You can know something, but if you don't apply it, you do not bear fruit, or it's not profitable to you. So think about this as we go through this scriptural study, because how many people reject, how many people lay waste to the knowledge that the MessiYAH YaHushua at night stayed at the Mount of Olives, and at dawn he gets up, the start of his day, and he goes to the set-apart place, and the people who got up at the dawn as well were coming to him, and they sat down with him, and he was teaching them at the set-apart place. How many people reject that, even in this day? Lucas, in chapter 21, verses 37 through 38, state the following, "And he was teaching in the set-apart place by day, but at night he went out and stayed on the Mount of Olives. And early in the morning, he went to the set-apart place." So a day start is dawn. There's no doubt about it. And many of us, through the evolution of learning and discerning what is actually going on, getting rid of what we learnt originally, we come to these conclusions in time. And basically what you're doing is you're unlearning what you've originally learnt from the pagan world religions that encompass this entire earth. And it's regrettable. But hallelujah that the prophet Yeshayahu in Isaiah chapter 58, verse 8 stated, "Then your light would break forth like the morning." Again, that word is dawn or shakar. And why the MessiYAH YaHushua, as some say the lesser light, is a lamp, because he reflects his Father's light, the greater light. But many reject this knowledge. They lay it waste. And this is what lack, the word lack, means if you get into a word study. Furthermore, if you get into the book of Eob or Job chapter 38, verse 12, and remember, chapter 38 is rich, profitable, good fruit as it relates to the sun, moon, and stars. It goes on to say, "Have you ever commanded the morning, Bokar, and caused the dawn, Shakar, to know its place?" So as we get into this study, getting it right the first time is the theme. Because if you get the start of a day incorrect, that could lead to getting the understanding of determining or discerning the first day of the first month correctly. And why we firmly believe that Moshe ensured that everyone was instructed through the Torah to guard the month of Abib. The 3 days and 3 nights is an opportunity to guard the month of Abib. Yes, that sign of Jonah. But how many in this day and age and the past, let alone what's going to happen in the future, will lay this information waste of the 3 days and 3 nights? Remember, our only teacher, the MessiYAH YaHushua, stated, "But he answering and said to them, a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah." Again, some people unintentionally do this, but regrettably, some intentionally do this. The MessiYAH YaHushua goes on to say, "For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the stomach of the great fish, so shall the Son of Adam be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth." Notice the word wicked and adulterous generation. When you understand what the term lack of knowledge means, the term lack is associated to wickedness, oppression. And we'll get into that as the study goes on, because how many of us have experienced the regrettable events sometimes in your life when someone comes up to you and says, "For lack of knowledge, you shall perish." And it's usually from what we call a posse prophet group, if you will. And it's very unfortunate. But some of us experience this. So people get dates wrong. That's obviously bad enough. But it's what comes with it. It's this arrogant, non-humble approach because they think they have something up on you and they're telling you you're going to die if you don't follow them. Again, on this YouTube channel, we do not do that. We're not teachers. We're not prophets. We're just Berean study students striving to become noble. We do our very best to get away from human reasoning. We love to reason with Yahuwah and his son, the MessiYAH YaHushua. So let's find out as we go through the scriptural study, because what's going to be revealed about the only sign given to us is that it's rejected. No thanks is what the world states. And do we have proof on this? Well, if we get into this study today, the word lack comes from the Strong's entry, and you can pick this up from the Bible Hub app. Strong's entry H1097, beli. It's a substantive adverb of negation. Phonetic spelling, beli, a wearing out, suppression. It's constant wearing out. You're constantly doing everything in your actions as a human being to deny it, to reject it. You bring it to nothing based on the NSAB translation. Nothingness. You're not concerned about it. You're unconcerned about the only sign that the MessiYAH YaHushua gives us. In some cases, because of world religions and people not aware of some of this information, it's unintentional ignorance and thus unobserved. Regrettably, though, some are aware of it, and it's intentional ignorance, which is horrifying to say the least. If you get into this a little further, the individual is making this sign to become old. Don't worry about it. They consume it. They allow it to decay. They let it waste away. So as we go through this study, you can find out that the wickedness and oppression is found in the usage of this word from its root, bala, in Strong's H1086. You allow it to become old. You allow it to decay. You help it decay. You spend it. You make it waste away. So in 1 Dibra HaYamim, or Chronicles chapter 17, verse 9, and I shall prepare a place for my people Yisrael, and plant them, and they shall dwell in a place of their own and move no more. Nor shall the sons of wickedness oppress, waste them any more, as at the first. So how many of the prophet's messages have been wasted away? How many people are not listening? How many people despise prophecies? So this is why on this YouTube channel, we look at all prophecies from the past, present, and future. And we ask people over and over again to take the prophecies of Scripture and lay them out the best way they can in the order that their present mindset or learning is in the age of man. Then lay all the prophecies out for the age of the Messiah, and then in the age when Yahuwah resumes his rule in what some people say eternity future. We don't want to waste away any of this, but some people do. And again, it's unintentional, and in some cases, as horrifying as it is, it's intentional as it pertains to the 3 days and 3 nights. So, this is why we guard the month of Abib, because we do not want to reject knowledge, which means to despise it, refuse it. To be rejected, you waste it away. The word lack and rejected are associated. They're synonyms in their original root words from a scriptural standpoint. And this is why we are fully aware why the entire world rejects and lays waste to the 3 days and 3 nights, because world religions and those still associated to them do not want to guard the month of Abib. So think about it. Every Christian, when we get through this, does not guard the month of Abib. Look at the difference in regards to the proposals of the 3 days and nights. I was born and raised in Roman Catholicism. They said Friday to Sunday. That's not 3 days and nights. Then it came along the understanding of the Orthodox, the eastern part of Roman Catholicism, that added Easter Monday. But when you get into that, that doesn't work. And then when you get into the Christian evangelical movements, they say Wednesday to Saturday, but that's problematic because it's not based on the sun, moon, and stars. Go through each of these world religions, and you will see how they do not guard the month of Abib, the true month of Abib. Each of these world religions do not start their day at the dawn, and each of these world religions reject the only sign given to us from the Messiah YaHushua, the one who called out, Shua, cried out to his Father for his deliverance. They don't want you to guard this basic sign, let alone his final breath of teaching while in the flesh, being murdered on the stake, to cry out to the Father. This is what is being promoted in these world religions. They do not guard the month of Abib. So this is the heart and soul and intent of this particular scriptural study, which will be backed up by scriptural passages in the Old and Renewed Covenant, astronomical witnesses, further word scriptural witnesses based on etymology, and some historical documentation to help us guard the month of Abib as it relates to the sign of Yonah. Again, we do not have to reject, we do not have to lay waste, oppress the knowledge that has been given to us by our only teacher, the Messiah YaHushua. The importance of the right timing is huge, let alone many other items in regards to this study. So again, let's get started and do a further deep dive with the proposed scriptural study format, approaching this information with as many witnesses that are available here and now, because world religions do not utilize this approach. They're very subjective. They're not objective. They don't use all witnesses. So again, we do not want to be presumptuous. We have no intent to rule over anyone like these world religions. And thus the reason why we created the proposed scriptural study format based on the help of many other Bereans. Because you do not have to be in the dark. We're not special in any way. By providing this proposed scriptural study format, anyone on earth can learn any of this information. You do not have to rely on any human being, let alone a world religion. You can search these things out for yourself and rightly handle the word of truth with astronomical witnesses such as the sun, moon, and stars. These things have been given to one and all. They do not have to be rejected or laid waste. Again, let's be clear. A year does not start on the equinox. This is a deception that was carried all the way from Babylon and into the second Babylon, the beast that we know today as Rome. This is well known, and none of us have to be caught up in sun worship in any shape, form, or manner, no different than the Druids did at Stonehenge. We have gone to these archaeological sites with tour guides and spent time alone, and the fascination in this world with this still remains, regrettably, all the way to high powers in government. And so let's be aware of this, because the true start of the year has nothing to do with Lent and or Easter. It has nothing to do with the sign of the cross. It has nothing to do with Ash Wednesday. Nothing to do with it. Remember, there are leaders today, and we're not to be called teachers and or leaders. This is what the MessiYAH YaHushua stated. And in these high powers of government, please make the connection of what's going on. Tammuz worship is alive and well, and it's regrettable because people rely on other people to teach them. The proposed scriptural study format flushes all of this out. There is no such thing to start your year with the equinox. The sun, moon, and stars on the very first page of Scripture with Bereshith, chapter 1, verses 14 through 16. The sun, moon, and stars are for days and years and appointed times. So the first day of the first month of Abib, let alone the 3 days and 3 nights, are not based on anything to do with the equinox. We covered this further in these 2 scriptural study videos. What is the sign of the cross? Shocking. And I am that I am kills the Trinity deception. Remember, most of the hiding of the 3 days and 3 nights, and the fact that Moshe stated to guard the month of Abib, lies in this scriptural subject matter. Because people don't want you to know that Yahuwah, like the prophet Yeshayahu said, there's no one like him. There's no one like Yahuwah. Yeshayahu stated that. And this is why the MessiYAH YaHushua stated that my Father is greater than I. No one wants to know that Yahuwah, our Father of lights, is the only self-existent one, and that the MessiYAH YaHushua was the firstborn of all creation, brought forth by the only self-existent one, Yahuwah himself, the Father of lights. So there's more to guard in the month of Abib than just the count with the sun, moon, and stars. There's far more to guard, and we'll get into a bit of that here in this study. Furthermore, number your days. Just take a pen and paper and fill out a 29 or 30-day month, and take Moshe's writings and how he guarded the month of Abib in his first 5 books, now known as the Torah today. And take the Old Covenant, take his writings, and take the Renewed Covenant, MessiYAH YaHushua's writings and his taught ones, who met him at the dawn to be taught. And just fill it out. We're going to go through this again. Many people have done this exercise, and it's very profitable. It produces fruit each and every time someone does this. As well, in this study, we're going to go over the books of Enoch and the book of Jubilees, because there are 4 days of remembrance. And if you get it right, and you understand that the first day of the first month is a day of remembrance, you will start your year correctly in the proper season. or the proper division, as the author of the book of Jubilees, chapter 6, stated. And then you will properly do your first day of the fourth month properly, and thus get Shavuot correct in the proper season. And then it goes on and on into trumpets. You will get that correct as well. We are to remember these things, and we can prove them with the sun, moon, and stars, let alone Moshe's writings. Again, the sun, moon, and stars tell time, and it represents the spiritual harvest cycle as written in the Shamayim, or heavens, which is linked to the agricultural harvest cycle or season. And the spring equinox is way before the first day of the first month of Abib. And if you guard that, all of this stays intact year after year after year. And this is why we are told not to forget this, to remember it. So, as we go through this study, why not use the sun, moon, and stars and learn how it's linked to what Moshe wrote about? Why not do that? Is there any harm in doing that? Of course not. So, with that said, let's focus in on the 3 days, the 14th of the first month of Abib, the 15th of the first month of Abib, and the 16th, the first month of Abib. And let's go through the sign of Yonah as given to us, the only sign that the MessiYAH YaHushua was willing to give us. Because a proper day starts at the dawn. Remember, at night, he went to the Mount of Olives. And at the dawn, he got up and went to the temple, where people met him, and his taught ones received the word, the unadulterated word, the pure, clean lip. So we know this to be a fact. So we're going to go through the 14th day of the first month of Abib. And as we know, the day that he was murdered on the stake, there was an eclipse. We're going to talk about that as we read in Marcus chapter 15, verse 33. And when the 6th hour, which we believe is 12 noon our time, came, darkness came over the land until the 9th hour, 3 p.m. Do you know that this year, if you use the sun, moon, and stars, there will be an eclipse again? We'll talk more about that. Because here's an example from timeanddate.com. Here's the link for Porto Williams, Chile. And I'll get into a location that we've asked people to go film this year. And film what? We'll talk about that in a minute. Because it'll be an eclipse of 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 36 seconds. Remember, as that moon goes to conjunction phase, it is the only astronomical lineup or celestial lineup that produces a solar eclipse, is when the moon becomes a conjunction. Thus, another witness proving why a first day of the first month, any first month, is a fully restored, set apart, Kodesh moon or month. So, if you get into the 15th day, we knew that that was a high Sabbath, just as the book of Yahuchanan had stated in chapter 19, verse 31. Remember, you get the 3 days and 3 nights correct. You can unlock the future. Passover and unleavened bread are beautiful. The importance of right timing reveals much more than just the count. And the 16th day, obviously, is first fruits. It's a Sabbath, and we'll get into that. So again, dawn starts, then sunrise, then you got your hours, high noon and so forth. And then sunset happens, and then ABIB, the evening, the separation. And then you've got this time period for a total of 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.09 seconds. And there's no coincidence or irony that Ursa Major, Job chapter 38, goes around the North Star, the fixed star, every day in 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.09 seconds. And there's more to this, obviously. So as we do this study, please remember these basic things, because they came to the tomb at the end of the 16th day, near the third watch, which is the first day of a third week. The 16th day of any given month is the first day of the third week of any given scriptural month. They came to the tomb right here towards the dawn, after the first fruit Sabbath. This was the ending of the Sabbath right here, because dawn is the day start. This is when they came to the tomb, after the Sabbath. Not the 15th day Sabbath of unleavened bread, but the Sabbath of first fruits on the 16th day. This is further verified in Lucas 24:1, as we can see here, and also, obviously, the emissary Yahukanan in chapter 20, verse 1. So we'll get into this as the study goes on, because it's part of guarding the month of Abib. It's not just about the count. So we're going to get into this, because there are 2 7-day counts, and most people miss it. We're going to get into this in this study. So let's get started with the sun, moon, and stars as they relate, yes, to a proper day start at the dawn, doing it right the first time, let alone guarding the month of Abib, so that we can fully understand when the 3 days and 3 nights, the death and resurrection of the Messiah Yahushua. Because Yahuwah is the creator, and he designed things, and he created things. So design demands a designer. So, wouldn't there be historical information proving how to guard the month of Abib with the sun, moon, and stars? Wouldn't that exist historically with documentation? The historian Josephus stated that in the first month of Abib, the sun, the greater light, was in a constellation or Mazzaroth known as Aries. And he talked about this on the 14th day of this month. The sun is in Aries. Most people, again, lay waste to the celestial clock and calendar of Yahuwah and just focus on the moon. They don't use the greater light as well and its position in the Shamayim. They don't even use the scriptural stars. So right here, this first witness from the historian Josephus gives us a clue that in the first month, the sun is going to be, the greater light is going to be in the Mazzaroth Aries. Interesting. What else do we have? Well, if you get into this book that we share over and over and over again, late 1800s, 1862, from Francis Ralston, they go on to say that by divine command to Moshe, the first ordinance of the Levitical law, the slaying of the Paschal lamb was to be when the sun was in Aries. The middle star of this Mazzaroth is known as the lamb, Tele. And in the figure of the lamb or young ram, in the time of Moshe, being in the month called Abib, when the first fruits, the earliest ears of corn were gathered. Then the new moon, so-called, was beginning to take place when the stars of Aries were aligned with the sun at the full moon of that month. So now it's getting to the first day of this first month of Abib. Very interesting. If you go on to read it further, where the zodiac or Mazzaroth is found, it always begins with Aries. Okay, so the first month is when the greater light is aligned in Aries. And we know the middle star of that 3-star Mazzaroth is the Lamb. Even among the nations who have commenced the year at other parts of its circle as the Chinese. So they were even aware, anciently, some of the miscalculations from other civilizations. So again, they knew some of these other stars. So they knew that the moon was in alignment with stars known as Abib, which is Spica today, opposite to the sun. So you can find this information in a book called Calendars and Constellations of the Ancient World by Emmeline Plunkett. It goes on to say in this book that the stars in opposition to the sun suggested the above proposed explanations of why the Hebrew month named Abib was the first month, and that of the month when the sun was in conjunction, meaning with the Lamb or the Mazzaroth known as Aries, right here, and in opposition to the star Spica. What? So you got a full moon going on, you got the greater light aligned with Aries, and you got the full moon aligned with the star known as Spica. So we do have historical information, don't we? Because Spica, they knew anciently, was so bright a star that even the beams of the full moon riding close at hand could not have obscured its luster. So how many have said in the past 15 years that a full moon will block out the light of the stars? But this year, once again, we will get thousands of photographs of people going outside when the moon rules the whole night through with the star known as Abib, and they'll get a picture of the full moon right at that midnight, second, third watch time period, ruling with Abib once again. The full moon does not obscure the stars. It just doesn't do it. And this is astronomically proven. So we can guard the month of Abib with the sun, moon, and stars. So we can do that. The historical documentation is clear. How many lay waste to this knowledge? How many oppose this knowledge? How many reject this knowledge? I don't want to sound so charismatic, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a point here that the historical record, the astronomical record, and the scriptural record proves itself over and over again with a dawn day start. We have all the information to be quality orientated to do it right the first time, both in a dawn day start, let alone the first day of the first month of Abib, a true New Year start from a scriptural standpoint. Remember, signs. What does that mean? What does the word signs mean? Well, as we know, it's a signal, it's a distinguishing mark, it's a banner, it's for remembrance, it's a day of remembrance. Avah, to sign, mark, describe with a mark. It's proof, it's a warning, hey, let's wake up. And again, the sign and the proper letter from an etymological, ancient, pictographic, scriptural standpoint points out so many things as we've shared in the past. No different than a road sign so that you get to your destination on time. Again, the hay and the lamb, when we praise our Father of lights, Yahuwah, and we praise him because he gave us those perfect witnesses of light to get it right with his sun, moon, and stars of light. So there's no coincidence that when we praise him, we get the pictograph of the hay and the lamb, which is a picture of a man with his arms raised, looking at a great sight. The lamb is a shepherd, staff representing the idea of toward, as the staff is used to move a sheep toward a direction. Combined, these letters mean a looking toward something, such as the looking toward a light in the distance. The stars have always been used to guide the traveler or shepherd, the pilgrim, to find his home or destination. So again, we know Ursa Major in the spring, proper spring, is in its proper position, and we know the two suns as read in Job 38 with its sons, Arcturus and Abib, will be ruling with the full moon. It's a great sight. You can get this from the ancient Hebrew lexicon definitions from Jeff Benner, and you can find this out on page 102, 103, let alone other historical resources anciently. So again, the first day of the first month of Abib that protects the 3 days and nights properly according to Moshe's writings is extremely easy. So let's explore with the sun, moon, and stars the first day of the first month of Abib, just as the ancient historical record proved. So when we shamar something, when we guard it, the word guard, the month of Abib, is a verb. It is written and phonetically spelt shamar. It's to keep watch, it's to preserve, it's to remember. To keep guard, observe, give heed, have charge of, watch and ward, protect, save your life. Watch, watchman, be a watchman, to watch for, wait for, observe. Again, it's a verb, it's an action. So how do we do that in this day and age? The theological old word book of the Old Testament, page 939, says to keep guard, observe, give heed. Its derivatives, shamur, night watch. Ashmarah, night watch. Guard your post on the night watch. Be obligated to this service. We are not teachers. We are not prophets. We are servants. So let's serve each other. Let's take photographs once again this year of this great sight with the full moon ruling while the greater light is in alignment with Aries. Let's do that, shall we? Because it can be done by everybody, and we can get the pictures of Abib as well. So let's go over this study now with Stellarium as an example. Let's prepare in advance. And we're going to look at the second and third watch, approximately the midnight time period. As our only teacher stated, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. So let's go look at that witness for everyone on earth coming up on this first day of the first month of Abib. Let's go take a look at that witness, and as well, let's take a look at the witness at the dawn. So let's use these two watches in the spirit of what Scripture tells us to do. Shamar, how to guard it during the night watches. We'll only use two. Remember, you can do this from the first watch, second watch. We're going to take right in the middle of the second and third watch all the way to the start of the fourth watch at Bokar or Shakar at the dawn, first light. So let's do that exercise now with Stellarium to see what we get. And let's forecast it out in advance so that we save time. We're fully prepared to know where to look and when to look when we go out to verify, test and prove the first day of the first month so that we're secured to further guard the 3 days and 3 nights, shall we? Okay then, let's use 3 locations or 3 witnesses to go over this point in securing the first day of the first month of Abib. Let's guard it with the witnesses of light, the data behind it, to ensure that we get it right in advance. We prepare in advance. So as always, we do 2 days before New Moon Day for these presentations, New Moon Day itself, 2 days after, as you can see here. For the location that I reside, we'll also use Jerusalem and Perth, Australia. We'll get these time zones out of the way. And as you can see, we always get the start of the full moon from WLC app. Great app. I use the old one, not available today. If you need it, email me and I'll get that to you. Timeanddate.com for its midpoint and the full moon finish time from WLC. And that steadfast witness will provide for the first day of the first month of Abib this year on the pagan day of Sunday, April 17th, commencing at dawn, that full moon, that fully restored Kodesh month, moon, set apart moon, will give us 9 hours and 17 minutes equally everywhere on earth. It's a steadfast witness. Then we record the dawn, the sunrise times, the percent illumination of those times, as you can see, and its degrees to the horizon and or distance for those that are in the know about that. And again, the moon greeting the sun at sunrise is a great witness. It's fabulous. But it's not the end-all, do-all witness that some constantly sell or market. Let me explain. So as you can see here, in my location, the moon will greet the sun at sunrise on the pagan day of April 16th, Saturday. It's not New Moon Day. And the following day will be New Moon Day. So almost 1 degree. I can go outside, film this, photograph, and prove this. In Jerusalem, Israel, it will for this particular month. And in Perth, Australia, it will. In some months, especially in Australia, the moon and other places like South America, the southern hemiplane, the moon the following day can greet the sun at sunrise, even though the previous day is New Moon Day. And in South America, we have seen 3 days after New Moon Day. So again, there are people out there trying to corner the market. They sell this stuff. They do this work. They make 1-page summary. That's it. No one learns how to forecast. No one learns how to do this for themselves. They allow presumptuous ones to rule over them, and they charge for it. And regrettably, people are paying for it. Please don't do this. Again, we're not judging the people that charge for this. We are scripturally loving them because you're not supposed to charge or market the word. So please, just a heads up on that one. But still, a great witness and why we track it every day, not just one day. And then there's the moon as a light on a lampstand, Matthew chapter 5, verse 15. We use stellarium for that, and we're going to go through that. And then finally, we track between the second and third watch when the moon gets at its 180 mark. And in Australia, it would be opposite. It would be at the 0 degree mark. It flips, where the sun's at the 360, so to speak, and vice versa. So you learn these things. As well, time zones with the time changes that regrettably humans do affect this as well. And you would only learn this by forecasting. And as well, we track the moonrise and moonset. Do you know that the moonrise and moonset is the same in a 10-degree variance everywhere on Earth? But in every month, there's a little change. You could actually know what month you're in with this witness. Hallelujah. More on that in future clips, Yahuwah willing. And then finally, some people regrettably state that the moon greeting the sun at sunset is the end-all, do-all witness, and we know this is not the case because that doesn't happen everywhere on Earth as well. Still a great witness, still great to get out there at sunset just before the first watch ABIB and monitor this as well. We utilize all of the witnesses that we are presently aware of. Why not? Let's learn how the sun, moon, and stars work to tell time on this celestial clock and calendar. So now let's get into the moon as a light on a lampstand all the way towards the dawn for these 3 locations, shall we? Okay, here we are with the 3 locations, and we're going to call up Perth, Australia first, right here with this data. And I have the view of Perth the night before New Moon Day. So at midnight, it turns into the 17th on the pagan Gregorian calendar. And by 13 minutes after midnight, again, the watch between the second and third, when the moon is the highest in the Shamayim, take a look at this. The moon is ruling with Spica. And the moon is at 99.9% illuminated. Kodesh, fully illuminated, separated from the rest of the other days, fully lit up. It's a set-apart day. It's consecrated. So, and as you can see, it's at the 0 degree mark. It's opposite to what it would be in the northern hemiplane. So again, how do I know it's ruling with ABIB? Well, Spica is known as ABIB. Spica is a very bright star. It has a magnitude of 0.95. You can't miss it. And as we shared already, the moon, even in ancient of times, they knew that this full moon would not block out Spica. In fact, Arcturus, the other sun of the 2 from Ursa Major, is even brighter. So as a Boy Scout, we all learnt about Spica, Arcturus, and all the way to Ursa Major to the North Star. Now in Australia, they're not going to see Ursa Major, but they will see the moon rule with Spica, and they will see Arcturus. It is what it is. Now, how do I know the sun is with Aries? Well, that star right there is known as the Lamb in the constellation known as Aries. Some people call it the Ram. Anciently, it was known as the Lamb, and it's right there. So that's that star. So in Australia, notice the time. So when that moon gets to the 180 and the sun gets close to its opposite mark, and again, in Australia, it's opposite. The moon's at the 0, the sun hits its 360 mark, and it's only 2 minutes apart. Look at the other days, 1 hour and 38 minutes apart, 51 minutes apart. New Moon Day, the night before, boom, 2 minutes, they're greeting each other in regards to that proximity. Now, you can measure all of this, the 180, with your fingers, as they've been doing anciently. You don't need meridian lines. You don't have to listen to somebody tell you about the Greenwich line or, the international date line. It's insane. The moon from a heaven vantage point, or the viewpoint from the Shamayim, tells us it's New Moon Day everywhere on Earth. These witnesses are excellent, but they're rejected. They're laid waste. it is what it is. And we're going to go to the dawn here in a minute and find out if the moon will rule with Spica still. So anyways, as you can see, great witness. The moon's at its highest point of illumination right here. And again, I'd like to thank Hugo in Australia. We had some great debate about height, and this view explains it better. I wasn't explaining it as well as I could, both empirically from a mathematical standpoint or a visual. Now remember, the sun never sets. The moon is for appointed times, and the sun knows when it's going down. The sun never goes down, if you understand about this. And if you look at the word down in that Psalms verse, it means entry point. And we're going to get into that with Hannock's writings, hopefully, in the new cycle coming up. So that's Perth, Australia. And look at after New Moon Day. That alignment is no longer there. There's a 49-minute difference. The following day, 1 hour, 44-minute difference. This is such a great witness. And as you've noticed from the scriptural study videos, if you go out in every watch, especially this one, second and third watch, you notice that when people are only looking at the moon greeting the sun at sunrise or sunset, they miss it. Oh, it's inclement weather. And they say, no light, no problem. And then they go to stellarium. But if you do 4 watches, as you've noticed in our videos over the years, you never miss a new moon day. You never miss it. And even when it's really completely inclement, the weather is foggy or whatever the case. I live in a very inclement weather location. The night sky still lights up like a sheet of white. It doesn't do that on a conjunction or crescent. So anyways, some good tips here. So this is Perth, Australia. Let's head over to Jerusalem for the same time period. But you know what? Before I do that, let's do this experiment here. The dawn for Perth on New Moon Day, 6:38. That's sunrise, and 5:16. So let's go to that time, shall we? Let's see if Spica still rules with the moon all the way to that time period. Let's do that. So let's go to 5:16, shall we? 3. Look at that. That moon is staying with the sun, isn't it? Now, something you should be aware of. So that's the first day of the first month. And we'll get into the 16th day because Spica will no longer be ruling with the moon. And make a long story short, by a 16th day, first fruits, when the MessiYAH YaHushua rose towards that dawn period, Spica, we lose sight of it, but the star known as Hamal rises, and everyone can see it. So again, another witness. So one other thing, a big thank you out there over the years to Michael and Karen. They live close to the Perth Observatory. I haven't been able to speak to them in such a long time. Michael and Karen, if you're out there, we would look forward, my better three-quarters and I, Palu, to get a hold of you. So let's go on to Jerusalem, Israel next, shall we? Okay, now we're in West Jerusalem here on Stellarium. As you can see, it's configured to that. And going to the forecasting page, the moon will be at the 180 mark. Boom. 180. There it is, the azimuth. At 48 minutes after midnight on the pagan day of Sunday, April 17th. And by the dawn, it will be New Moon Day. So here's the moon, 100% illuminated right there. 100% illuminated at the 180 mark. Check that out. And the sun is in alignment with Aries. There's the lamb again right there. And notice by 39 minutes after midnight, it'll be at its 0% mark. So they will see Ursa Major. They will see the North Star. They will see Arcturus and Spica. So now let's go to the dawn. And before I do that, I want to share something with the art. And again, we don't use the constellation art anymore because we've been trained not to do so. We don't need it anymore outside. So in a first day, first month scenario, the moon is always in alignment, it rules of Spica, and is in alignment between the star Spica and the foot of the preacher. I don't know if I can pick it up here. That little star right there is known as the foot of the preacher, right there, or foot of the teacher. Rigi. And there's some other names for it all through history. But that's a first day, first month event with the sun being in Aries. Again, the middle star is known as the Lamb, Talah. So we've known this anciently. We don't go by the equinox. We go by all three witnesses of light. Psalm 136:9. The moon rules with the stars. A conjunction and crescent moon doesn't do that. So let's do the test again to see if the moon rules in that alignment between Abib and the foot of the preacher. Remember, the 12th month, that moon was ruling up here with Alzania, Zavijava, and Denebola right there. That's a 12th month. So, again, this is very easy. It's not rocket science. The only reason we are showing constellation art, there are some beginners, because when you go outside, you don't see it. It doesn't help you. Just like meridian lines and horizontal lines and international date lines and the Greenwich line, they don't help you. You've got to go outside on your own and start to be able to pick out Arcturus, Spica, Ursa Major, the North Star. You know where Orion is. At this watch, you're not going to see it. You know where Pleiades is. You're not going to see it. So all of these things you start to get aware of on any given day. Forget about just new moon days. So again, a little good tip. Let's go to the dawn. Let's see what time dawn is here. So the dawn in Jerusalem is 4:43. Sunrise is 6:08. So let's go to 4:43, shall we? 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Take off the moon there. Still with Spica. And if you go to sunrise by 6:08, Spica goes below there in this case. So make a long story short, let's go back to 6:08, sorry. I'm an hour off. 6:08 is sunrise, so let's go to 6:08. And there you can see Spica's doing its thing as Hamal starts to come up. Now, this is important in the 16th day again. So we'll speak more about that. Let's go to where my hometown is, and notice before we do that, we'll go back to the worksheet. Look at that. On the 15th, the night before after midnight, and let's go to the 15th, so everybody sees that this is not rocket science. And it's actually on the 14th, it hits its 180 mark at 23:13. So here we are plugging away. 23:13, just so people know where this information comes from. So here's the moon. It's at its 180 mark. The 180 mark. Right here. 23:13 on the 14th at 95.2% illuminated. That's where we get this information. And then you do the next night and the next night and so forth. All three witnesses. And notice the moon's not ruling with Spica yet. If you take the constellation art out, it's up at the top. It's not between Spica and the foot of the preacher right here. So now let's go to my hometown to close this particular witness off. Okay, then we're back in my hometown where I reside, Barrie. And as you can see, go to the 180 mark of the moon. And as you can see, 180 at 1:44 a.m. on the 17th. Still not new moon day yet. At the dawn will commence new moon day. But as you can see, the moon is ruling with Spica, and the same things apply. The moon is between the star known as Spica, or in alignment, Abib, and the foot of the preacher right here. Again, I don't need this stellarium constellation artwork. And as we've talked about in the past, there used to be only 13 Mazzaroth. They're now 88. So we always refer to Romans chapter 1, verse 22 on why we don't use constellation art. There are many more and other reasons. But again, when you go outside, this is totally useless to you. You have to get so good at it, proficient, that you know where Spica is, Arcturus, Ursa Major, the North Star, and the other stars. And of course, like in the other locations, I will not be able to see Aries, none of us will, but it's in alignment with the Lamb down here. So all of the historical information is intact. So that's 144 for me in my Eastern Standard Time Zone. Again, when they change the daylight savings time, watch what happens to your actual stellarium and other programs. It does cause some chaos, if you will. So you have to be aware of that as well. So 4:44 a.m. Let's go to 4:44 a.m. And where is that moon here? Let me configure that for you. That moon is still ruling with speak, as we can see right there. And it's new moon day. Hallelujah. Ursa Major is in its proper position, Arcturus, and so forth. So this is the first day of the first month. So anyone can do this. We do workshops in this. Reach out to us at the email address family1@rogers.com if interested. Okay, then, that is the first day of the first month of Abib and how to ensure we guard it with Moshe's writings, let alone the sun, moon, and stars astronomically. Let's move on to the 14th day. Yes, the start of the 3 days and 3 nights from an astronomical standpoint, shall we? Because Josephus the historian had stated that on the 14th day of the lunar month, the sun is still in Aries, with that star known in Arabic, Telah, and today as the Lamb. Let's go talk about this now, because there was an eclipse, and Dionysius noticed this as well, and he wrote about this. So you can read anciently that there was indeed a solar eclipse at the time of the death of the Messiah YaHushua. Even the historian Eusebius talked about the great eclipse of the sun occurring at the 6th hour. And he went as far as to say that turning the day into such darkness of night that the stars could be seen in the Shamayim. So once again, for the folks, the Bereans that we dialogue with and study Scripture with, we are asking you kindly to get outside to take pictures of certain stars that will be seen during the solar eclipse. So, Marcus chapter 15, verse 33, and when the 6th hour had came, which is 12 noon, darkness came over all of the land until the 9th hour, which is 3 p.m. So again, a solar eclipse occurs as the moon is going into its conjunction phase. So we know this to be 12 noon to 3 p.m. So we're asking our friends in South America to capture those stars when that sky goes dark, because at that time period we knew the greatest teaching event in the history of humankind was our only teacher, the Messiah YaHushua, cried out, which is Shua, cried out to his Father, the Almighty, self-existent one, the only one, Yahuwah, that is self-existent. Why Yeshayahu said, there is no one like the Father, and why the Son stated the greater light was greater than he. The Father was greater than the Son, and why he cried out to him. Remember, he wasn't schizophrenic on the stake. He wasn't calling out to himself. He was calling out to his Father. So this is what's being laid waste of the 3 days and the 3 nights. People don't want you to know this. They lay it waste. And in most cases, it is unconscious, unintentional. But again, we all are to call out, Elai, Elai, lama sabachthani, my Almighty One, my Almighty One. And that's exactly what he did. What a great historical teaching. So the folks in South America, especially at the tip, if you could let us know if you are willing to get some of the photographs of what's going to happen on that day, that would be great, because we're looking to get Orion. So as that eclipse happens at that time period, please take shots, because in Jerusalem, they will see, if it was an eclipse, which it's not going to be there, they would see Orion in its proper position along with Pleiades. And this year, it's lined up to the planet known as Mercury. And if you know the meaning of the star name of Mercury, that would be very interesting to those that enjoy doing this type of work. And take a look at this. The moon is the lesser light, is with the greater light. It's calling out to the greater light, the Lamb. The Lamb is in alignment. So some people are so good at photography, they can get these photographs. And in Jerusalem, they would see only a portion of Ursa Major and the North Star. So again, it will not be an eclipse in this location. But if it was, this is what you would see. Year after year on the 14th day, and here is at noon to 3 p.m., this is what you're going to see if there was an eclipse. Let's go to my location. Same patterns, same stars. But again, if it did happen in my area, I would see all of Ursa Major and the same stars that Jerusalem would see. Let's go to Perth, Australia. Okay, they won't see Ursa Major and the North Star, but look they're going to see Orion, and they're going to see Pleiades aligned with Mercury. Same thing. The lesser light calling out to the greater light, the Lamb, the morning star. So this is what happened way back when, all the way up to this very day. And we are asking some of the folks from South America to get out, and please, if you can take some pictures of this for all of us, that would be fabulous. Again, more evidence. And we've been doing this for over 10 years now. The portfolio of photographs with this, when eclipses have happened, it's climbing and climbing. We're getting so much of them. In fact, we're asking for folks to go to the southern tip of South America on Highway 3 to a place called, catch this, YAHsome. YAHsome. Cry out to the Almighty Father of lights. So, coincidence? I don't know. I just enjoy this stuff. I love sharing it with so many other Bereans, and especially the other Bereans sharing it for me, because they're going to see the very same thing. They won't see Ursa Major and the North Star, but they will see, during this eclipse, look at that. It shows even on Stellarium there's going to be an eclipse. Check that out. Isn't that cool? So the lesser light, calling out to the greater light, the Lamb, there's Aries right there, along with these other stars in Job 38. Kema, known today as Pleiades, Cassel, anciently known, but today known as Orion. So let's have some fun. All of you out there, let's get those cameras out that are in this location. So Guido, I know it'd be a little bit of a trip on Highway 3 to this location, but if you could do it, oh my, wouldn't everyone enjoy this to such a great deal? So we talked about the first day of the first month of Abib and how to guard it with Moshe's writings and astronomically. We've also shared the renewed covenant and the MessiYAH YaHushua and the sign of the first day of the 3 days and 3 nights to guard it. This is the only sign that he was willing to give us, and it's copied in the renewed covenant with his writings, thanks to the emissaries sharing it with us. So now let's go to the 16th day to see what happens on the Sabbath of first fruits. So most people don't realize there's 2 separate 7-day counts. And we're going to get into this now in a little bit greater detail, because you're supposed to start eating unleavened bread starting in the evening of the 14th day. So in the Areb time period. The day starts at dawn on the 14th, and then as sunset starts to happen in the evening, you start eating unleavened bread all the way to the 21st day, and you stop eating unleavened bread on the 21st day at the evening, right after sunset. You stop. So there's that 7-day count. But on the first fruit count, you have a set-apart gathering on the 16th day, starting at dawn. And you do no silvar work on the 16th day. And that count, as we will see from Leviticus, you go all the way to the next 7th day, which is the 3rd Sabbath of that first month of Abib, which is the 22nd day. Most people miss this, so let's talk about this now. So in Wayikra, or Leviticus chapter 23, verses 5 through 8, the first day and night, verse 5, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month, between the evenings, is the Passover to Yahuwah. Right there. Second day and night, verse 6, and on the 15th day of this month is the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. So that starts in the evening, and there's the day, and 7 days brings you to the 21st. Right there, boom. Third day and night, starting with verse 7. On the first day you have a set-apart gathering, you do no servile work. That's first fruits. And you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 days. On the 7th day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. That count starts on the 16th, and on the 7th day, which is the 22nd, which is the third Sabbath of that first month of Abib. So that's one way to count it out, and that's the power of numbering your days. And remember, Yahuwah confirmed that the 15th day was a high Sabbath. So let's continue on, because it's verified further in Bemidbar, or Numbers, chapter 28, verses 16 through 23. Starting with verse 16, first day and night. And in the first month, on the 14th day, is the Passover of Yahuwah. Right there. So preparation day during the light time period. MessiYAH YaHUsHua was murdered or killed on the stake. And we're going to do a third video explaining how easy that is to prove further and why people want to reject this. There are so many reasons why people want to lay that waste. So we'll get into that. And regrettably, it's conscious. And some of it is unintentional, but we'll get into that further. And then, as you can see, it goes into the evening, and the 15th day at dawn of this month is a festival for 7 days, and unleavened bread is eaten. So, there you go, all the way to the 21st. That's that first count of 7 days. The third day and night, starting on verse 18 of this book, on the first day is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. That's the first fruit Sabbath. And you shall bring near an offering made by fire as a burnt offering to Yahuwah. 2 young bulls and 1 ram and 7 lambs a year old. Perfect ones. They are for you. And their grain offering, fine flour mixed with oil. Prepare 3/10 of an ephah for a bull and 2/10 for a ram. And it goes on to talk about making an atonement for you. On the 16th day, when the MessiYAH YaHushua rose from the tomb, the grave, just before the dawn, that represents our atonement offering. He died for us. So again, notice the word morning is bokar used here in verse 23. So it all matches, it all fits together. And we get a third witness from Shemoth, Exodus chapter 12, verse 18. First day and night, we go to verse 18 in the first month, the 14th day of the evening. You shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month in the evening. Right there, it stops. That's the first 7-day count. Back to Wayikra, Leviticus 23, verse 5 through 8, the third day and night, on the first day of a set-apart gathering. That's a Sabbath. It's the wave sheaf offering. People went to the temple on the 16th day of the first month of Abib. That's the closing of the 3 days and 3 nights. They went to the temple for the wave sheaf offering. And you shall bring an offering made to fire for 7 days. On the 7th, the 22nd day, is a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work. That's the second 7th day count. So that's the scriptures. That's what Moshe is saying. And as we know, the taught ones did not come to the tomb until the dawn on the 16th day, the end of the 16th day. The 16th day started at the dawn, the first celestial event, as Jonah said in chapter 4, verses 7 through 8. Sunrise happened, and this is, during this day is a Sabbath, the 16th day, first fruits, the wave sheaf offering. Sunset happens, then the evening. You're into the 16th nighttime period of that day, which is that first day of the third week on the first month of Abib. So, and the taught ones wait. They don't come to the tomb right away. They wait till the dawn, to a true start of the day. Now, after the Sabbath, toward dawn on the first day of the week, Miriam and Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. So all the writings match, all the historical documentation matches, and at the end of the day, astronomically, we can prove this as well, and we're going to go to that next, because Lucas confirms the very same thing at early dawn. They came to the tomb, and Yahuwah on the first day of the week. The first day, yes, the 16th day is always the first day of a third week in any scriptural month, let alone the first month of Abib. And notice they came to the tomb at the end of the 16th total day time period, day and night. So this is where they came, just before the new day. So pretty basic to explain. Most people don't want to look at it. And again, they lay it waste. Lack of knowledge doesn't mean you're missing something. It means you're covering it up. You're making it nothing. It's like what we do throughout time to the Father's name. We Shah on the Yah with the Son's name too, don't we? So we bring it to nothingness. So let's not Shah on the Father's name. Let's not Shah on the Ah, the Wah, in regards to Yahushua's name, Shua. Let's not do that. So as you can see, here we are, the forecast. And take a look. By the dawn, this year, again, for people that enjoy doing this, by the dawn, you will be able to see the morning star. You will be able to see it. Now, is that designed from the Creator by coincidence? So the seed is buried. The seed has been buried. So you'll notice, speak of going below, right from the first day of the first month, you'll start to see it go. It's buried. The 14th day, it's definitely gone. But you'll start to see the morning star, the Lamb, rise during this 3-day and 3-night time period. Is that coincidence? Some say it is. For us, it's a powerful witness of why the MessiYAH YaHushua cried out to his Father. Because we get to witness this. The good news message, the Besorah, is written in the stars. So this is a very powerful message. Again, take a look at, now after the Sabbath toward the dawn, the first day of the week, Miriam from Magdala and the other Miriam came to see the tomb. This is what they would have seen. Because this is why the dawn is such a powerful witness, the start of the fourth watch. You can still see the moon and the stars and, the first light, which is an amazing sight based on the photographs folks actually use. And take a look. You'll still be able, if you're in the northern hemiplane, see Ursa Major, the North Star, Arcturus, but you won't be able to see Spica. Very powerful. Very powerful. And this is Jerusalem. And on Stellarium, you're able to put on the atmosphere, so you will see the morning star. Now, some people say that's impossible. The sun blocks out the light at the dawn of the morning star, the Lamb. Well, does it? Well, again, even in Bari, I'll be able to see Hamal. How do I know these things? Because we've tested and proven them both in forecasting with these tools, but more importantly, because we assemble with other Bereans all over Earth, they get outside and do this. One of the best photographs I've ever seen came to us last year from a fellow Berean by the name of Tara. And she lives in British Columbia, which is known as the powder location of Canada for skiing. Anyways, here's her 16th day, at the end of the 16th day, first fruit shot of the morning star. And as you can see behind is the dawn. Now, if this doesn't wake you up, nothing will. And we get the same shot from everyone all over Earth. So please don't lay this waste as well. Some of you will do it. You have other intentions, and we get that. We don't judge you for that. That's between you and the Father of Lights, just like it is for us. We are not going to have a flesh fest. Again, we take this information to the principalities, to the world religions that have implemented calendars such as the pagan Gregorian that robbed us of all this information. And that has taken us so long to come out of this world to understand these basics. So we went over the first day of the first month of Abib and how to guard it scripturally, astronomically, historically. We've done the 14th day, as you can see here. And we've also have just completed the 16th day. 3 days and 3 nights. Again, the MessiYAH YaHushua was only willing to give this wicked and adulterous generation, all the way up to our time, one sign, and that's what he gave us. And what does the world do? It rejects it. It says, no thanks, we're going to go on our own way and do what we want to do based on human reasoning. We are not going to reason with the Almighty Father of Lights. And as we know, so many problems have come from it. People that did not intend to become a false prophet ended up in that boat. and they regretted it. There are some great people out there that have become humbled by that approach. So, there's only a few more left here that we can convince. It's easy to convince somebody. Whether a human being will do it or not remains to be seen. And that's between them again and the Father of lights. We're working out our own deliverance. We have no power to work out anybody else's deliverance. The best we can do as Bereans who are striving to become noble is to share this information. That's it. Yahuwah does the rest. The MessiYAH YaHushua gives us the examples. And as such, we can either follow what he did on behalf of his Father, who was greater than he was, or we can follow what happens in Hosea. Wear out this knowledge. Again, most people think for lack of knowledge you shall perish, like you're missing some knowledge that they have that you don't. No, it's the knowledge that already exists that you're wearing out, that you're laying waste, making it become nothing, so that people are unconcerned with what the MessiYAH YaHushua stated. This was the only sign that he was willing to give. So again, please don't make this become old. Don't consume it to the point where it's gone, allowing it to decay and waste away year after year, which the world religions do and those still associated to it. So again, we want to talk more about this, so we've decided for a part 3. We thought this study was only going to be 2 parts, but we have a list of reasons why this is done unintentionally, why people ignore and reject the only sign that the MessiYAH YaHushua gave, and we have a list of reasons why people do it intentionally, which is quite horrifying, but we'll get into that. So again, understand what the word lack means. It's far more than something missing. Again, let's not reject what we shared here today. Let's not refuse it. Let's not despise it. It's a sign. Please, as it says, do not despise the prophecies. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 20-21, if memory serves. So again, many despise this to the point of rejection. World religions give us, Bereans that are striving to become noble, an opportunity when asked to share this information that we have reviewed together here today, together as one. Again, if interested in this even further, please see these videos, why we must all guard the month of Abib, and guarding Abib with the sun, moon, and stars, because there's much more to this. And as always, this is only part 2, and we are very thankful that we get this opportunity to do these scriptural word, name, and law studies, including the calendar, including the topics of prophecy, etc., with so many Bereans all over earth. We're up to about 100,000 contacts from when we first started way back in 2008, 2009, and then the YouTube channel came in 2013. So we call upon the name which is above all names, the greater light, yes, our Father of lights, the only self-existent one, Yahuwah, that he keep and guard us as we move forward, because this will not get any easier as the world continues to pass away at a much more expeditious rate, as we are all noticing. So may the MessiYAH YaHushua be in everything we say and do, and may we listen to the 3 days and 3 nights message that we have to cry out to our Father, Yahuwah himself, for our deliverance. And again, in thanks, all the best to each and every one of you. May Yahuwah keep and guard you and your loved ones. And again, thank you. Have a YAHsome day, everyone, and please hold on to part 3.